Hey, good afternoon, beloved, and it's a beautiful Friday here in San Antonio, Texas. My name's Pastor Eric, and along with my bride Elaine, we are Encountering God Ministries here in San Antonio, Texas, and we're just saying hello to those on my Facebook page. And a beautiful Friday, and welcome to Christ Coffee and Conversation. And over there, if you're watching on Encountering God Ministries page, welcome to you. So as you all get settled in, fiddled in, decide which one you're going to plug into, I want to welcome you to Friday's edition of Christ Coffee and Conversation. Like I say, where we're Encountering God Ministries, serving the lowly, the least, the last and the lost, networking with the community and local ministries to serve those like Jesus did. Amen. So hey, listen, yeah, we had a bit of snow fell last night on San Antonio, Texas, which was in answer to a prayer, just in case you might be thinking. You know, if most of you know that I'm an Evertonian from Liverpool, England, and there's those Liverpudlians out there who went off to Europe to play a football game, a soccer game, and beat a team 7-0. 7-0. So for those of you Americans who think soccer's boring, you need to watch Liverpool sometimes. They're 7-0. Anyway, so yeah, that if we're an Evertonian today over there in Liverpool, we were a bit scared. We were like, oh my gosh, 7-0. We're playing them on Sunday in a big game. Call it the derby over there. When two local teams clash, we call it a derby. I don't know why, but we just do. Manchester United and Manchester City are doing that. And so you're like, hey Eric, hang on, Pastor Eric, whoa, you're supposed to be Christ Coffee and Conversation. What's this got to do with God this morning? Well, I'm going to tell you. Well, after the 7-0 thrashing that Liverpool put on in Europe, it was kind of cool when Everton initially played yesterday, and we won 3-0 in Europe. We first European winner over there for a long time. And so, what we do, with the game coming up, and if most Evertonians were probably like me, probably said we had a snowball's hell in chance of beating Liverpool on Sunday. The way we've been playing, just got a new manager and all that good stuff. But I said to God, like I posted last night, I said to God, there's more chance of snow falling in San Antonio, God, than Everton beating Liverpool on Sunday. And then the snow fell. And then the snow fell. Now you might call that coincidence. I call it divine appointment. So it was kind of cool as we were talking about that and praying a simple prayer. In jest maybe, I don't know, but the conversation came up, and today I want to talk to you. I want to continue to talk to you today. I was going to leave Nehemiah where he was yesterday. We talked about just the news flash coming from the desk. I want to just say welcome home to little Oliver. We're gonna celebrate. I love being alive. You get all kinds of stuff. Again, you wish you could see it, beloved. We just do the simple thing of just getting the message out and sharing the hope of Jesus. Right, my bride's there, jotting down the news. Just I feel like the BBC here, So the BBC. So news just in. Nettie said Oliver is home. That's my sister Spud. Catherine's got little Oliver home. Remember we've been talking about Oliver. What a glorious day. Little Oliver, strong enough and ready to come home for Christmas, right? And we're going to use the birth of Oliver later on as the kind of lean in for Christmas, right? The birth of a baby that certainly changed Catherine's life and certainly changed anybody that's got to see him. So we're going to talk about that another day. I digress again. But anyway, the snow did indeed fall. Everton did indeed win in Europe. And the game is on Sunday. So if you're in church on Sunday, before your 11 o'clock service, speak to your pastor, get your direct TV up. And in fact, if you want to get more people into your church on Sunday, pastors, then get yourself some direct TV and 2 screens, Man United on one side and Liverpool on the other, and get them into church. Be glorious. All right. So before your 11 o'clock service on Sunday, I suggest very strongly, that you get your TVs hooked up to the NBC Sports and tune into the Liverpool game and the Everton game live from Anfield. Anyway, enough of that for Friday. Guys, Pastor Eric, what are you on today, right? Well, anyway, I want to just talk to you today about, do you think of yourself as a leader? Do you think of yourself as a leader? Now, I don't know who you put your hope in on the planet as far as your pastor, your boss, whatever. You're the boss. Maybe you're the boss. Maybe you're leading people. But I couldn't leave Nehemiah. Because there's something in there that caught my attention as I was reading it, and I thought, just when I finished. But one of the things that came to yesterday, I was just praying yesterday and talking to God yesterday. And we're always wondering about what next. What does God want us to do next? And Proverbs 3:5-6 says this. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. Now there's a big nugget in there, and I'm not going to preach on that today. I'm not going to even teach on that today. I'm just going to read it to you. But the nugget that I believe that God wants us to hold on to, faith is very important in the Christian life. Faith is important, right, in the Christian life. Not the things that we haven't seen yet. The God says, just faith in me. Jesus was all about that. Great faith this man has. Your faith has made you well. He kind of holds on to that and proclaims that. But what I want to get into you today is that faith the size of a mustard seed is awesome, right? But do you have trust in God? And what does that mean to you today? What does that mean to you today? Trust in God, that when you've had this faith that you don't see what's going to happen, you don't know what's going to happen, but you're saying we walk by faith, not by sight, and you say, you know what, I'm just going to trust God with it. We used to say, let go, let God, or whatever with that. But the nugget is, trust in him, say, there it is, and no longer having to worry about it. Or, hey God, here's my prayer, here's my conversation, here's my supplication. And then it says, do you trust in the Lord with all of your heart? All of your heart. That's all of your mind, soul, spirit, body, your very being. That when something would come to you that you would be worried about or concerned about or hoping for, would you just be able to say to yourself, God's got it. And it wouldn't worry you, it wouldn't irk you, you wouldn't think that he's forgot, maybe he's, hey, did God take his mind off my prayer? No. I want you to cling today, this weekend. I want you to cling to that your trust in God would be emboldened, would be strengthened, would be encouraged. And it says, do not lean on your own understanding. Because, nobody understood why the snow came last night. But we didn't care, right? Especially all the Brits in San Antonio, we all had crazy sing-alongs, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And San Antonians that I knew were outside taking pictures because they'd never even seen snow before. Some of these youngsters. And so it was great, right? And so Elaine and I managed to get into a little bit of a snowball fight when I got home. Probably the only fight we've had for a long time. But it was kind of cool. Snow down your neck, snow in your glasses. Right? Fun. Neighbours thought we were nuts, but that's okay. But it says in here, in all your ways acknowledge him. So acknowledge him. Worship him, exalt him. Right? And it says he will make your straight paths. He will make straight your paths. So there's plenty in there to chew on that, but again, it was started off being the news that Oliver, my nephew's home. But anyway, so do you think of yourself as a leader? Because Nehemiah, Nehemiah didn't think he was a leader. Nehemiah didn't wake up one morning and just think he was the greatest leader. Wasn't even a prophet. Wasn't even a priest. He wasn't even a preacher, right? But one significant event in his life changed his life and changed the life of those in Jerusalem, right? Now, I love it in Nehemiah, and if you get there in chapter 2, right, it's Nehemiah's in there. He's in the Old Testament. But he's gone down as one of the greatest leaders, right? I'm going to talk about what makes a good leader in a minute. But Nehemiah, it says, was a cupbearer for the king, right? He says, I was just a cupbearer. That's what he says. I was in his opening chapter. He says, I'm just a cupbearer for the king, right? But what I love when you get into chapter 2, he said he was serving wine. Let's get in there. I was serving the king his wine, right? And I had never appeared sad in his presence before this time. Now, I don't know how long Nehemiah was cupbearer for the king, and if you know, you can just text in there and I'll look at it later. But it says, he was serving the king his wine. And the next one says, I had never appeared sad in his presence before this time. So, Nehemiah, serving the king his wine, had never whined, moaned and groaned in the presence of his king. Now, I don't know what kind of job you do, but would your boss know? Would your boss all of a sudden know that all the years you've been doing your job, that there was just something wrong with you? Would he ask you? Look, let's get in here. Look, it says, verse 2, so the king asked me, why are you so sad? You aren't sick, are you? You look like a man with deep troubles. Then I was badly frightened. But I replied, long live the king. Why shouldn't I be sad? For the city where my ancestors are buried is in ruins, and the gates have been burned down. And the king said, well, how can I help you? I'd blown him away, right? Now here's how you respond to those who are trying to help you or been asked the question, how can I help you? Look what's about to happen. It's pretty cool, right? Nehemiah, when asked, how can I help you, by the king, he says, with a prayer to the God of heaven, I replied. Now let's not rush past that, because there's probably some of you pastors and preachers out there will probably preach all day on just that line. With a prayer to the God of heaven, I replied. So before he acknowledged what he wanted, he already knew what he wanted, right? I mean, he wanted to help his people in Jerusalem. He wanted to help his ancestors. The one who'd gone before. He wanted to go to Jerusalem and help, right? So with a prayer to the God of heaven, he says, I replied. So he took some time. He prayed to God. He prayed to God and said this, if it please your majesty, and if you are pleased with me, your servant, send me to Judah to rebuild the city where my ancestors are buried. Now, this is Nehemiah. Now, I don't know if Nehemiah had a clue how to build a box, never mind build a wall, right? He's been the cupbearer for the king for years. But I want you to get into this, that with his prayer to God, okay, he supplicated to God, so he had a conversation with God, and I believe he set up this request to God to touch the king's heart, which was, when you start to read, I'm going to read it with you, don't worry, I'm getting in there. So he's prayed to God, he already knows what he wants, God already knows what he wants, and now he's going to take this opportunity to want to a better word, nail the king with his requests. So he says, send me to Judah to rebuild the city where my ancestors are buried. And the king, with the queen sitting beside him, right, asked, well, how long will you be gone? Right? How long will you be gone, and when will you return? Right, don't forget, for you ladies watching, yeah, the king with the queen sitting beside him. Guys, don't make any decisions without your wife. The good old queen sitting next to me. I think the queen might have been saying, listen, king, you know it's a good idea. Just get it done, all right? So, just give you a heads up on that, all right? Yeah, you can laugh at that, but that's it, right? So he says, how long will you be gone, and when will you return? So the king agreed, and I set a date for my departure. I love this bit. It's almost like he said, I want to go to the city. And he said, okay, fair enough. You want to go to the city and you want to rebuild it? Great. And then he says here, look, in verse 7, I love this. It's almost like he looks over his shoulder and says, well, since you're going to send me, right? So I hope God, in my prayer to God, I hope that you would send me, you wouldn't leave me here. It almost like he looks over his shoulder and he says something like this. Well, he doesn't say, this is what he says. I also said to the king, if it please your majesty, give me letters to the governors of the province of the west of the Euphrates River, instructing them to let me travel safely through their territories on my way to Judah. All right, well, I'll do that too. Right? So, so far so good, right? Will you send me? Yeah, I'll send you. How long are you going to be gone? Fair enough. So he gets that. So now he gets a travel pass. There'll be paperwork that will get him safely where he needs to go. So we're getting some safety, right? And then he says this, and please send a letter to Asaph, right? Asaph, the manager of the king's forest, instructing him to give me timber. You see, I will need to make beams for the gates of the temple fortress, for the city walls, and for the house for myself. You gotta get your head around. If you go to ask boldly, right? So he says, I don't just want wood to build me wall and all the stuff that I need, but I want you to give me a letter to your manager of the king's forest, and I want you to give me some wood so I can build a house for myself. Provision. Ta-da! Right? So he's off and about, and he says, when I came to the governors of the province west of the Euphrates River, I delivered the king's letters to them. The king, this is what he says, the king, I should add, had sent along army officers and horsemen to protect me. I mean, let that sink in. He's got safe travel documents. He's got passports to get him from across the borders. He's got what he needs to go there. He's got provision to go where he needs to go, right? And when he gets there. And he's also got safety, right? The king thought of him enough to give him safety. Protect him all the way. And it says here, because this is why. Because whenever you start leading a mission, when you start going on the mission field, when you start leading something to the glory of God, there's going to be those that will meet you when you get there, right? There's going to be roadblocks, there's going to be hindrances, there's going to be messages sent to stop you doing what you're trying to do, even though you've got the safety, even though you've got the word to go, even though you've got the passports, even though you've got the safety. It says here, but when Sanballat and the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite official heard of my arrival, they were very angry. Not just angry, they were very angry that someone had come who was interested in helping Israel. That someone had come who was interested in helping Israel. Now, I'm not going to get into this with you because some of you are already thinking about it. All right. Donald Trump is not Nehemiah, all right? Building his wall, all right? He's not, no, we're not getting in, we're not going there. We're not going there that Donald Trump is not Nehemiah building a wall. And we're not going there that people are angry, although we already know that with Donald Trump, because he's going to make Jerusalem, right, or Israel, the capital, right? So, we're not going there either. You can all look at that later. So, do you think of yourself as a leader? Have you prayed to God and asked him for those things? For safety, provision, right? And protection, right? Nehemiah described himself only as a cupbearer. He was just a guy who had worked hard and he had risen to some prominence in his day and time. And Nehemiah, right? Nehemiah was just a man. Just a man like you and me. But he was a man who God raised up, right? Now, you've got to get your head around that a little bit. You can sit in this a little bit longer today, beloved, look, because you have to sit in there, because he says, then I was badly afraid, right? He says, I was badly frightened. When the king said, are you sick? Or, what are you so sad for? And you look like a man with a load of troubles. He was probably afraid of the king there for his job, maybe. Maybe being miserable and, right, looking downcast was not the order of the day in front of the king. You maybe had to smile a lot, keep smiling. So he might have been afraid, but he says, God raised him up. Like God raised him up. And it says there are some steps Nehemiah took that ensured his success. We're going to talk about them. Steps that made him a very effective leader, right? And they're the same steps you and me can take as a follower of Christ to ensure you're an effective leader in your sphere of influence as well. Right? We all influence somebody, right? We all give somebody influenza, if you like, right? We all do. We all infect somebody and affect somebody, right? So step number 1 is to pray fervently, right? Daily, persistently, pray. And we see this trait over and over and over again in the life of Nehemiah. And that was little Oakley just offering a prayer to God there. Right there. Right? Nehemiah was a man of prayer. Right? I mean, look at his knee-jerk reaction when he was asked, how can I help? He didn't go, oh, you can do this. He's, whoop. Thanks for the offer. Thanks for the offer, but I'm just going to go and have a chat to the dad. Right? I'm just going to have a chat to the Father in heaven, the one who can give me all things. Yeah. Right? And so real leaders understand that opportunity swings on the hinges of prayer, right? If you're a leader, if you're a real leader, you'll understand that opportunity swings on the hinges of prayer, and you wait until God answers those prayers before you move, right? Step number 2 is to proceed confidently and courageously, right? Confidently and courageously. God's going to give you the travel warrants, the passports to get where you need to be. He's going to give you the provision to get where you need to be. He's going to give you the protection you need to be. You just got to go confidently and courageously, right? And Nehemiah has a little run-in with Sanballat and Tobiah. Right? He has a little run-in with them, and you can read that for yourself. We might come and visit them another time, right? Because you're going to need to go confidently, and you're going to need to be courageous when someone comes up against you in the decisions that you're making to the glory of God, right? But God has made a way, right? God has made a way. Nehemiah just has to push through. He just needs to push through, right? So step number 2 is to proceed confidently and courageously. And you accomplish this, if you like, by living by today's verse up there, in trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make you straight. He will make straight your paths. Right? And step number 3 is to begin to being an effective leader, is to plan wisely. Right? To plan wisely. You notice, you could see where Nehemiah here, he's already set up what he needs. He wants travel documents. He knows he needs a letter to the manager at a Home Depot, for want of a better word, to get his lumber, right? And so then he knows when he gets there, I'm going to need some protection, right? And so so he sets all this up. So he has these plans in order of what he needs. And I don't think he just off the top of his head figured that out. I think he took some time to plan this and talk to God about it, right? It says too often we have an idea or a dream or a mission or a ministry idea, or we want to go and just explode onto the mission field with some good idea, and that's cool, because all good ideas come from God, right? All God ideas. We're not creative enough to think of some stuff. God drops them in our head, but then we have to wait for someone to say, "Well, how can I help you?" Right? We need that. We need that. We need to be able to go and wait, do what we want to do, pray to God, talk to God, and then when someone says, well, how can I help you? Then off you go. You start telling them this is how you can help. And so that's what we do here. How can I help you? We just tell people, this is how you can help us. And so it's kind of cool, right? So he says that we have this idea and this dream and we just boldly go for it, but you have to pause. You have to pause like Nehemiah with a prayer to the God of heaven. Right? Just pause, just back off, just back up a little bit. Together, just whoever's offering the help, just say, hey, I just want to have a quick chat. I just want to chat to God first. Make sure I'm asking for the right things, right? Plan wisely, right? There's got to be a beautiful balance between that you're eager to get the offer of help, but make sure you get all the help. Just kind of like Nehemiah did. Oh, by the way, safe, I want to go. I want permission to go. Okay. Then he looks over his shoulder and says, oh, while I'm there, can you give me some letters? Right? You see how he does that? So you might as well wait until you've got everything you need, right, before you proceed. So make sure you've got everything you need before you proceed, right? So there's a divine side of praying, and then there's the human side of planning, right? There is agonizing. Stay with me. There is agonizing, and then there is organizing. Oh, let that sink in, right? There is agonizing, and then there is organizing. You see that with Nehemiah? You saw that with Nehemiah, right? You know, why are you so sick, right? Why are you so sick? You look like a man with deep troubles, agonizing. What to do, how to do it, where's my help coming from? This was a divine appointment with the king. I mean, just look at that. The king has no reason to ask Nehemiah anything. He's the king. He's just a lowly servant. He's just a lonely servant. But the king asks him, how are you doing? Right? And you've got to get your head around this. Right? We're just a lowly servant. But the king, the king, God, Jesus, says, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. He's got no reason to ask us. He's God Almighty. The psalmist would say, who are we but mere men that you would even be interested in us? Someone's got to get a grip of that. That's just dropped in. Right? Who are we that you, the king, God, would be interested in us? It's the same thing going on here with Nehemiah. That's just dropped right in from heaven right there. Had nothing to do with what I was teaching right now. Right? The king would ask his lowly servant, how can I help you? Yeah, someone's got to let that sink in. In fact, I should just quit right now. I think I'd just leave it there. Right? Oh, glory. Glory to God right there. So, where was I? Thank you, God, for dropping that in anyway. So there is agonizing, and then there's the organizing, right? So you could see him there agonizing over it. You could see it. You could see it in his face. The king could see it. And then there's the organizing, right? So he sorted it all out. He got his organizing going. He got himself together. This is why Nehemiah was such a great leader, because he not only prayed, he proceeded with confidence and trust in the Lord, right? And he not only proceeded with confidence and trust in the Lord, he planned effectively, right? Planned effectively. When you're going on vacation, do you plan to have your passports? Yep. Well, let's back up the truck a little bit. You have to seek work for permission, right? You're the king. And you have to get your passports to go, right? You have to make sure you got your provision, your cash, your American Express. Or maybe it isn't an American excuse, I've got no money, right? And safety. Safety on the way there. Safe travels. Just put that in there for you to chew on to. So he not only proceeded with confidence and trust in the Lord, he planned effectively. These same steps, when applied to your life as a Christian, will help you become the effective leader God intends for you and me to be, right? So, what step do you need to take today to become the leader God has called you to be? Right? What step do you need to take today to become the leader God has called you to be? Step one was simple, right? Pray fervently. So let's just stay there if you want to today. Don't rush through them. Step one, pray fervently. Let's just stay there. Stay there this weekend. Pray. Pray fervently. And then we'll see what God has to say. Hey, listen, I've kind of gone on a little bit there, but it's Friday. I'm going to take the weekend off. And I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you enjoy that. As I say, have a little mooch through Nehemiah. Take a look at his request to the king. Kind of ponder what I've said about the king. Asking how his lowly servant is doing. How can he help? There's a bunch of little nuggets in there that dropped in. Hey, listen, thanks for watching. All right. This has been Pastor Eric with Christ Coffee and Conversation. Wishing you a great weekend. And we'll see where God takes us next week. But until then, whether you like it or not, yep, you just had an encounter with God. I'll see you next week.